With the third pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Carmelo Anthony from Syracuse University.
And what I really love about Carmelo is the way that he performed on one of the grandest stages in the NCAA tournament. This guy was dominant. He reminds me a lot of big dog Glenn Robinson, the way he scores the basketball. But you add on top of that his passing ability, his athletic ability to make everybody else around him better. And he's a positive for any team in this league.
Anthony with the spin. Anthony, banks it home. Great shot move.
Many say we ain't seen a rookie duo like that since Magic and Bird. He turned the Denver Nuggets into a playoff team, and now they really exciting to watch. Some people call him Melo for his nickname, but ain't nothing mellow about his game. Let's check out Carmelo.
That just goes to show how much people respect me as a player. I'm gonna go out there and give whatever I gotta do my all. So that's just the way I was growing up. I strive for the best, try to do everything I can when I gotta do it.
Carmelo has a chance to be one of the top 5 best players in this game. He has patent moves that basically are unstoppable. He's a great player.
Next generation, right here.
He's definitely one of the top players in the league. He can do so many things off the dribble. Somebody that big, he has a great handle. He can take you inside, out. He has everything. He has the whole package.
He's a great low post player. He's tough. There's not a lot of strong and powerful 6'8" small forwards in the league. Honestly, some forwards trying to get on, and his quickness is missing. So, it's always a mismatch for him.
A lot of people call themselves like the chosen one. My family being so spiritual, not really understand what that means.
He's one of those guys like to go through you. He want to feel you or get your body to you. But I saw his crossover. He got a nice crossover.
Where I'm from, ain't no backing down. I don't care what challenge it is. Ain't no backing down. People gonna try to come at you and try to disrespect you day in and day out. So that's the Baltimore mentality coming out.
I'm so determined that I'm gonna get by my defenders regardless of who it is.
He's kind of a throwback player to the time of Alex English, Bernard King, James Worthy, just to name a few. He's a little bit better than you think in just about everything.
He is one of the most gifted athletes I've seen play at this level in a long time. I've played with some great ones, and James Worthy and Magic Johnson, and he is among that ranks with me.
reporting that the deal is finally done. The Carmelo Anthony trade saga is finally over. Anthony going to his desired destination, Madison Square Garden, to play with the Knicks.
To begin the evening, and we talked a little bit as Shumpert goes with a big two-hander. The Knicks continue to take it right to the Hawks, who look like they are a bit hungover.
Commits the foul anyway. Crowd getting on its feet. 5 seconds. Anthony fires the three. Bang! Carmelo Anthony ties the game with 2.3 remaining.
What's your reaction to the trade?
Well, my reaction is that I thought it was the right move by the Knicks considering the circumstances. Carmelo Anthony is finally in a position where he's going to be able to legitimately compete for a championship. And I think that's something that his talent demands. This is a man that's been in the league for 14 years. He has never played in an NBA Finals. He's been to one conference finals in his career when he's with Denver, and Chauncey Billups was the point guard back there. We need to see somebody of his talent legitimately competing for a championship. And I think this definitely puts him in a position, because if Russell Westbrook and Paul George, you have one of the elite, if not the elite backcourt in all of basketball. And I can think of no team that wants to go up against the Golden State Warriors more than Russell Westbrook and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So when you look at it from that perspective, the fact that they've been buffered by the presence of Carmelo Anthony, who can drop 25 a night, who can drop 40 on any given night, I definitely think that's a plus.
How do you feel about starting at the 4, or the concept of starting at the 4, or even coming off the bench? And the second question is...
Who, me?
Oh. I guess that answers that part.
I mean, I don't know where that started, where that came from. Hey, Pete, they said I got to come off the bench.
Isolation play is Anthony in a mismatch against Jamal Murray. Anthony spins baseline and scores. And Chandler comes up short. Denver off to an 0 for 3 start. Right down Main Street. Melo! Anthony catches Millsap. Last night at San Antonio, Anthony will drive baseline on Millsap and get his own back. Twos and mid-range have all been defended. Jab statement and sidestep it up short. Westbrook looks off, has Anthony the trailer, bang up by Brewer. Melo gets it back, fades away from Park. Shot clock down to 5. George will drive and dish. Anthony up and firing for 3. Bang! Anthony the straightaway 3. Bang!
9 games. The big thing and the big challenge tonight for Oklahoma City is their transition defense. You like that good screen for George down on the baseline. See, they'll kick it out to Roberson all night long. He has to prove that he can make the shot.
A long 2 by Anthony. We've talked about it. We've seen Houston a bunch lately.
Carmelo Anthony shared 2 very interesting pieces of information during his end-of-the-season interview with the press recently. First being that the Thunder didn't have any strategy for him being there, and second was that he has no intentions of coming off the bench should he return next year. Max, what is Carmelo Anthony right now?
Washed. Let's face it. Look, Dwayne Wade, you could say the same thing about him. They're from the same draft class. LeBron is the, unusual, even by historical standards, physical freak. LeBron is unique. No one's ever played with this many miles on his legs, this many minutes on his legs at this level that LeBron has. It's ridiculous, or even in a position in the league. But Carmelo Anthony, as has been pointed out, I think it was by Paul Pierce on our air, can't really get his own shot anymore. I mean, if he's reduced to a catch-and-shoot guy, he's not an incredible shooter. He can hit an outside shot, of course, but he doesn't do it at an incredible clip. He doesn't play defense, so what else does he do? You know, is this great ISO scorer, except he's not a great ISO scorer. He can ISO score, but not at an incredibly high level right now. And I'm not just blaming that on the system he was in, where his role was reduced. He's been in, kind of steady, slow decline. Stephen A. is very disappointed that he didn't come up bigger in these last playoffs when given the opportunity. Not that offense seemed to have much of a plan or be cohesive or have an idea. But I would expect at some point Carmelo would have had a good game. And I'm not going to say it's some character issue or anything like that. I've long thought Carmelo's a clutch player. I just don't think he has it anymore. That's it.
Now to the other breaking news. According to our Adrian Wojnarowski, the Thunder are sending Carmelo Anthony to the Atlanta Hawks, and then the Hawks will buy out Melo and allow him to become a free agent. Remember, Carmelo has a no-trade clause. The trade also involves the Thunder sending a lottery-protected 2022 pick to Atlanta for Dennis Schroeder. Last season was Melo's one and only season in OKC, and it was forgettable at best. He averaged 16.2 points per game, the only season in his career in which he averaged fewer than 20 points.
You think Carmelo's ready? He's already got his warm-ups off. He was standing up like, all right, I've sat out enough. Let's go.
Carmelo Anthony starting this game on the bench for the first time in almost 1,100 career games during the regular season. DJ Tucker starting the front court along with James Innocent Foul, sending James Harden to the free throw line. There's a look at Carmelo, signed with them after clearing waivers from the Atlanta Hawks. Very short and nondescript stay in Atlanta.
Last time we saw you in an NBA uniform, you were playing for the Houston Rockets.
Right.
10 games in. Actually, recently off a 28-point performance against the Brooklyn Nets, you were basically let go by Daryl Morey in the Houston Rockets.
Correct.
Talk to us about whether or not that's something you expected. Were you surprised by it? Did you have an issue with it?
I was surprised by it big time. Right? It went from, oh, this is the piece that we want. This is the piece that we need. Mind you, we've been talking for 4 years. They were trying to get me to come to the Houston Rockets. And I finally went there. They finally said, okay, this is the piece that we need. So I get there, and I'm thinking everything is good. Like, I'm doing everything I got to do. I never missed a practice, did all my work. I was, real professional with everybody there. I don't think there's one person there that I can say that I wasn't a professional there. I did what I had to do, did my work. And then the 10th game come, I just didn't understand where that come from. Right, I actually reached out to Daryl first and said, can we talk about how can we make this better? What can we do to fix this? What can I do to fix this? But then he had in mind that he wanted to come talk to me too about releasing me and letting me go. So I didn't like how that went.
Max, we just heard about an hour-long conversation between Stephen A. and Carmelo Anthony. What's your biggest takeaway?
Well, I took a bunch of notes on it, so there's a bunch of things to get to here. First, my general reaction is Carmelo seems like a good guy. And he seems as though he was being honest with you, with the public. He's being honest about how he feels. but I don't think he's fully being honest with himself right now. For example, why is he talking now? He's talking now because he doesn't have a job. When he says the game, he still loves the game didn't love him back at one point in time. He's not like, you don't retire from the game retires you. And at the moment, the game has retired him. So I want to get to that for a second. Where Carmelo thinks he is in terms of his value on a basketball team, because his skills are excellent. His overall game as a scorer is one of the best ever, and he's still highly skillful that way. I'm going to get to specialization and how that's affected in a second. Where he thinks he is in his career and where he actually is, there's a huge gap still, a big gap. I know he thinks he's accepted a lot. For example, now he's willing to go to the bench. Yeah, no kidding, dude, of course. Should have been willing years before you were, and it would have helped. Like, look at what Vince Carter did. Really effective player with job for 20 years because he was a superstar able to accept a more peripheral role. So Carmelo says he did all the right things in Houston, except actually produce, like in Oklahoma City too. So what do I mean? But like, look, the game changed from under Carmelo Anthony's feet. It's not like his fault, but that's what happened. So he goes from a guy who's just a tremendous overall, well-rounded, skillful ISO scorer to a league that says, well, wait a minute. We need, unless you can do that on a high enough level to be the best player or one of the best players on a championship team, and that was years ago for Carmelo. He never could have been the best player on a championship team, but certainly he could have been maybe the second best, certainly the third best player on a championship team. I think the second best in his prime. But unless you can do that on a really high level, we need specialists. We need guys who can switch on defense and catch and shoot threes. He's actually really bad at catching and shooting threes. By his own admission, when he was in OKC, he's a rhythm player. He always got a lot of touches. He's not a guy just, he's going to catch and shoot it. So he doesn't do the kind of things that anyone, like he says, you mean to tell me there's no 15-man roster I could make? But the 10th to 15th man or the 8th to 15th man needs to do those specialist things, which he doesn't do. He's a superstar dealing with an enormous ego hit, and there's only so much an ego can take at once. So when he says he's willing to come off the bench, and I say, yeah, of course. Hey, there's a 15. He thinks he can make any 15-man roster. I agree. There are not 450 players better than Carmelo Anthony. But what role on that 15th man roster? So when Stephen A asks him, when he says, hey, there's politics, right? The quote was, there's politics. I got sick of the politics. My question is, what politics? And be specific. Because right now he's not going to cost anyone anything. So why doesn't he have a job? He's a good teammate, as he says, a good locker room guy, friends around the league. Obviously a nice guy. So why doesn't he have a job then? So what politics is he referring to, really? If I was a GM and I heard that interview, I'd think, Carmelo still doesn't quite get it. He's not all the way there. And he's been a day late and a dollar short in terms of recognizing where he fits in the league for a long time now, for years now. Yes, he should make a 15-man roster, but in the top 8 of a rotation, given what he can do and what is needed in the NBA now, no. So would he be willing to be the 9th, 10th, 11th guy on a team and do it with a full heart so you can get the best of his abilities? Stephen A, when Stephen A says, hey, you can give him 15 points a game, the number of points is completely irrelevant. No one cares about that in the league anymore. There's a much more sophisticated understanding of it. It's what is your points per possession? Because if Carmelo's giving you good points per possession still, then he'll get more touches. If he's not, he'll get fewer touches, especially because he can't play defense. So my overall takeaway, Stephen A, is Carmelo's a good dude. That's how he comes across. A guy who's being honest about what he's going through, and he deserves to be commended for that. But a guy who's still not being fully honest with himself about where he fits into the game.
And Carmelo Anthony has found a new home. How will that fit, Kenny?
Well, I just like, the fact that Carmelo Anthony, who has been a great player in this league, has found a home. And he can now we're really going to see, is this the end of Carmelo or not? We're going to really get an opportunity.
Everything happened kind of like in 48 hours.
His things, scholars no more. Basketball season has returned. You can hate me now, smoking loud with my gun. He like spray me now. Hey, hey, I'm in the shit waist deep down. You with the ops, pull up on you, get the spray round. Hey, hop in my Bentley, please do not tell me. Am I 50 with me? Shoot a nigga kidney. Now, on my shoulder, I hang with me. Now, wait for you to try and diss me. Now, I'ma pull up where your crib be. Now, shooting down your chimney. Down, smoking like a chimney. Loud, step out the car, you hear me. Bow, bitty bopping with my 50. Hey, change a nigga like a shifty. Hey, I maneuver with my clip be. Hey, no security be with me. Niggas hate me now. Hey, bitches tryna have my babies now. Hey, hey, I'm not a baby now. Hey, hey, bitch, I'm 18 now. Hey, remember when I used to be 16 now? Hey, my house full of big screens now. Hey, and I ain't gotta hit my granny mouth. Hey, and I ain't gotta live my granny house. Hey, niggas hating on me. Niggas want me to be lacking and they waiting on it. Want see my reaction, I'ma spray it, homie. Keep my pistol with me cause that's my lady, homie. We no drama just like TNT. Let them guns all sound like TNT. Hey, I'm too turn your bitch, I'm TNT. Hey, rock your block, I'm a Leah Key.